Okay, that's working. Good. Check 1, 2. Well, good morning, Redeemer Bible Church. It is great to be here with you today, and thank you for joining us, whether in person or online. This week we have a few short announcements. If you haven't picked up a physical copy of this week's bulletin, please be sure to grab one. Said it last week, but Gail was very kind and redesigned the bulletin. So if you haven't seen it yet, please be sure to pick one up. It's also great information on here as well. Our first announcement for this week, we announced last week, but just want to let you know that the group that normally meets before this service called Grow Hour is being discontinued. In its place, we're going to be prioritizing the Good News community groups that meet during the middle of the week. So if you're not currently a member of a Good News community group, please be sure to join. Look in the Church Center app for more information as well. Also, next week following this service, we're going to be having an addendum vote. This will be regarding addendum number 3, which regards our agreement with Highlands Christian School. If you need any more information on that, please be sure to see the church office for a little bit more details on that. Also, please be sure to update your contact information and photo in the Church Center app. Pastor Forrest is going to be entering a time of focused prayer for the church, so please be sure to go in there, update anything that might be a little bit outdated, and that would be great. Thank you. Finally, worship services are now live streaming, both the earlier service as well as this service on YouTube and Facebook. So if you have any friends that maybe you think would be interested in viewing from afar, please be sure to share the link, invite them to watch and to participate through online means. And finally, on the back side of your bulletins, you can find a few different ways to give to help support the ministries of this church, whether in person or online. We encourage you to do so as the Lord leads you. And now I'd like to welcome Pastor Forrest up here.
Well, this morning we want to recognize Blake. So if you're not familiar with Blake, let me catch you up. Blake served for a number of years back in the day, he served as the youth pastor of the church here, and then he has been serving until recently as the custodian of the church. And so he has been involved in the life of this church, the body of this church for a number of years, and the Lord is calling him on to another ministry, and so he is pursuing that, and we're just super excited for what the Lord has in store for him. But we wanted to thank him for what he's done for this church over the number of years. So we have a thank you for him. And did you want to say anything? You're welcome to.
I want to say thank you so much. It's been a privilege for the many years. You have been a blessing to me and my family. We love you, and I know that the Lord is blessing you as well.
So, good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Yep. Over up.
Good morning, church. Why don't we stand to our feet as we begin worship together?
Sing together this morning. I'm forgiven because you were forsaken. I'm accepted. You were condemned. I'm alive and well. Your spirit is within me because you died and rose again.
Sing that again. I'm forgiven.
I'm forgiven because you were forsaken. I'm accepted. You were condemned. I'm alive and well. Your spirit is within me because you died and rose again. Amazing love, how can it be that you, my King, would die for me? Amazing love, and I know it's true, and it's my joy to honor you in all I do. I honor you. I'm forgiven because you were forsaken. I'm accepted. You were condemned. I'm alive and well. The Spirit is within me because you died and rose again. Amazing love. Amazing love, how can it be that you, my King, would die for me? Amazing love, I know it's true. It's my joy to honor you in all I do. I honor you. You are my King. You are my King. Jesus, you are my King. Jesus, you are my King. Amazing love, how can it be that you, my King, would die for me? Amazing love, I know it's true, and it's my joy to honor you in all I do. I honor you.
King. You are my King. Jesus, you are my King. You are my King.
Well, good morning again, church. Before we continue in our time of musical worship, would you please turn to your neighbor, greet one another, and our question for this week is, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the name Noah?
Let's dive back into worship together. Whoa.
It's coming on the clouds.
It's coming on the clouds. Kings and kingdoms will bow down. And every chain will break. His broken hearts declare His praise. For who can stop the Lord Almighty? Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles. And every knee will bow before Him. Our God is the Lamb that was slain for the sin of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Oh, every knee will bow before Him. Whoa. So open up the gates, make way before the King of Kings. The God who comes to save is here to set the captives free. For who can stop the Lord Almighty? Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles, and every knee will bow before Him. Our God is the Lamb that was slain for the sin of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Oh, every knee will bow before Him. Sing, who can stop? Who can stop the Lord Almighty? 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 No one, Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Who can stop the Lord Almighty God? Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Sing it out. Who can stop the Lord? Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles. And every knee will bow before him. Our God is the Lamb that was slain for the sin of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Oh, every knee will bow before him. Whoa, before the Lion and the Lamb. You give life. You give life. You are love. You bring light to the darkness. You give hope. You restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. You give life. You are love. You bring light to the darkness. You give hope. You restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, and these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, and these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise to you only. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. From a bondage, is it breakthrough, is it wisdom? It's in the room. We're desperate for his presence, we're in need of revelation, we're longing for a touch, it's what he does. What are we looking for? What are we longing for? What are we searching for? What are we asking for? He's in the room. He's in the room. He's walking every aisle, touching every wound. He's in the room. He's in the room. And pouring out his mercy and making all things new. He's in the room. Whoa, he's in the room. Is it answers? Is it faith? Is it freedom? Is it strength? Is it silence from the shame? It's in the room. We are pressing towards the promise. Everything that he has started, he is faithful to fulfill it. It's what he does. What are you looking for? What are we longing for? What are we searching for? What are we asking for? He's in the room. He's in the room. He's walking every aisle and touching every wound. He's in the room. He's in the room. He's pouring out his mercy and making all things new. He's in the room. Whoa, he's in the room. Great I am, morning star, faithful friend, cornerstone, mighty one, risen Son, Prince of Peace, King of Kings, Emmanuel, God with us, consuming fire, our first love. What are we looking for? What are we longing for? What are we searching for? What are we asking for? He's in the room. He's in the room. He's walking every aisle and touching every wound. He's in the room. He's in the room. He's pouring out his mercy, making all things new. He's in the room. Whoa, He's in the room. He's in the room. He's in the room. He's walking every aisle and He's touching every wound. He's in the room. He's in the room. Pouring out His mercy, making all things new. He's in the room. Whoa, He's in the room. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Thank you, Jesus, for being here with us this morning. Father, I pray that we would have an open heart, open minds to receive everything that you have for us. Lord, I pray that if we have anything burdening us, that we would lay it down at your feet. And I pray that you would be with Pastor Forrest as he brings forth your word, and that would be exactly what each of us needs to hear respectively and also as a unit, as a body. Christ, I pray that you would have your way with us this morning and that we would become more like you and less like ourselves. In your name, Christ, I pray. Amen.
Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you. When I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book, before one of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, God. How vast is the sum of them. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. When I awake, I am still with you.
Some recent archaeological digs have come across a geological structure, a geological thing. I don't know, thing's not the right word. A geological formation. Thank you. Good job. A geological formation in Turkey. And why this is so interesting is the dimensions of this formation are similar to the biblical account of the size of the ark. And so what they've done is they've taken some sonar equipment and they've investigated the ground, and it looks like there's some decomposed wood in there, and some of the structures of the way things are situated underground doesn't look like natural. It looks man-made. And so what these researchers are doing, what these people are doing is they're looking at this and they're saying, look, we have found the resting place of Noah's Ark. And I don't know whether it is or not. This site has been kind of in the news a lot for the last 20, 30 years because they're thinking, hey, maybe this is the spot, this is the spot. One of the bad things, though, about finding Noah's Ark location, and it's cool and it's neat and it's fun and it's kind of a neat archaeological thing, and maybe it'll turn out to be it or maybe it won't. But one of the disadvantages of this discovery has been the distraction from what the story of Noah is about. And what happens is people start to get into the details a little bit. Like, okay, how long was the ark really? 2.5 football fields long or whatever it is. And trying to map it out and say, okay, was that really big enough to hold all the animals? And how would they have had enough food for everybody? And is there enough water that it could have covered the earth? And there's all these questions about the story. Did it really happen the way that it seems like it's going or whatever and all that? And it's a fun excursion. But what happens is people are focused on the details of this, and they're missing the point of the story. The story is told to demonstrate something, to teach something. And that something is not how many floors were in the ark. That something is not how big was the window in the ark. That's not what the story is about. The story is about God saved Noah and his family. That's what the story is actually about. And so what I want to do this morning is I want to take us into the story. And as we walk through the story, I want you to begin to hear what this story is about and what is trying to be communicated. Because it's an incredibly important lesson. It's huge. What this story talks about is, what does it mean to walk with God? And why that's so important is because it's hard for us as humans to be able to understand what does it mean to walk with an infinite God. It's a hard concept. If I were to tell you I was going for a walk with my wife, that's easy for you to understand. My physical body, we're going to go down a road, and my wife is going to be right here with me, and I'm going to hold her hand, and we're going to walk. Like, we understand that. But how will you walk with God? Because He doesn't have a physical body like I do. I can't hold His hand. What would we talk about? What road would we go on? And so there's this perception in our minds. It's hard to understand. What does it mean to walk with God? Like what is that? And what people often gravitate to is they gravitate to, well, walking with God really means acting like a Christian, going to church, telling people that you're a Christian, doing some good things here and there, maybe reading the Bible, and getting really excited at Christmas. That's what sometimes it translates. People start thinking, well, that's what it means to walk with God. And some people think that walking with God means that at some point in their history, they raised their hand, or they walked down an aisle, or they sat with someone and prayed and said, I want God to be the Lord of my life. And so that's what it means to walk with God, because they had a conversion experience. And the problem is that that's not what it means to walk with God. That may be a part of it, but that's not walking with God. Walking with God is something different. It's more like walking down the road with my wife, but not totally. And so there's this confusion. What does it mean to walk with God? This is what the story of Noah is about. If you have your Bibles, I'd invite you to turn with me to the book of Genesis. And we are starting a new series in the book of Genesis. And we're going to look at the story, the account of Noah. From his beginning, the beginning of the story here where he talks to God, and we're going to look towards the end we'll talk about that, where the rainbow comes in. We're going to look at this whole story of Noah for the next couple of weeks. And this week, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about where Noah walked with God. And that phrase is here in these verses. We're going to be in Genesis chapter 6, verses 9 through 22. That phrase is in here, but the whole section actually talks about what does it mean that Noah walked with God? Like, what does that mean? And as we explain it, as I explain this for you, then what I'm going to hope to do is transfer that information to our lives, and we're going to ask ourselves, am I walking with God? Is that something I'm doing? And so what we're going to see in Noah's life is that walking with God means, first of all, purity. Now, that's an important dynamic that we need to talk about, this purity. Now, this is one area where a lot of people instantly hear that word and they feel guilty. And they're like, I don't want to talk about that, or they're wanting to stay away from it, but just hang with me. I think it'll be better than it might seem originally. Walking with God also means providence. It means that God guides our steps. God shows us the way we should go. Not always the way we want Him to, but He does. And then the last thing is walking with God means promise. And we're going to talk about what that promise is and why that's so important. But as we look at Noah's life, we're going to see these three things play out, and we're going to have a demonstration through the way that he lives his life of what it means to walk with God. And the first thing that it means to walk with God is purity. And what I mean by purity is we're talking about this pursuit in our life of being righteous. Doesn't mean, although there is a theological understanding of imputed righteousness. We'll talk about that at some other time. Right now, what we're talking about is this process of trying to be righteous. And what we're going to see in these verses is, why do we even try to do that? Why is that so important? So look with me, starting at verse 9. And it says, verse 9 says this, but these are the records of the generations of Noah. Probably better interpreted, this is the account of the life of Noah. Now, Noah was a righteous man. When it says he's a righteous man, it just means that he is a man who is pursuing righteousness. He's doing righteous things. And was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. So, part of the reason why that is so significant here is because there's being a comparison that is being built. Noah was righteous compared to, in light of all the rest of humanity, which we'll talk about here in a second. But Noah was a righteous man. He was not perfect. We'll even see a situation here shortly where he's not perfect. Noah was not perfect. God is not saying he was the perfect man, saying Noah was righteous. He was striving towards righteousness is the way that I take that. He was blameless in his generation. He was someone who was blameless compared to what everybody else was doing. And Noah walked with God. Now, Noah walked with God is the concept that we're bringing up here this morning. But Noah walked with God, and the reason that he walked with God, or one of the characteristics of what it meant for him to walk with God, is he was righteous. And let's look at the comparison in verse 10. It says, and Noah fathered 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. In verse 11, now the earth was corrupt in the sight of God. All those outside of Noah, the humanity, it says earth there, but it's the references to people. They were corrupt in the sight of God, and the earth was filled with violence. This is fighting. This is doing things that are best for oneself at the danger and at the expense of somebody else. They were violent. And the Lord looked on the earth, and behold, it was corrupt. And this is an important part. For humanity had corrupted its way upon the earth. Not only did God look down and see that the people on the earth were wicked, that they were corrupt, but He understood that they were that way because they chose that. That was their choice. That was the life that they wanted to live. And so you see this comparison of these two entities. There's Noah, who was righteous and walked with God, and the rest of humanity that were corrupt and wicked, and they chose to be that. And the difference and the contrast is being made there to indicate that what it means to be walking with God is to be a person that is righteous, to be pure. Now, we understand this in a very specific way. We understand why this is true. Let's say you have a friend who is very wealthy and they have a very nice house and they're a very clean person, and you were invited over to dinner at their home. And they were to call you up and say, hey, come on over on Friday. And you know that you're coming on Friday to their home, and you know it's a beautiful home. You don't take Friday afternoon and go out and play mud volleyball, right? You don't do that because you know you're going to a house that has white carpet throughout, has beautiful, you want to get yourself cleaned up as much as you can to go into this very clean place. Same dynamic is true. Sometimes we don't want to embrace it, but the same dynamic is true, is that God is righteous and holy and perfect. And if we want to walk with Him, it just makes sense that we also strive to be righteous and holy. We don't always do it right. We're not always perfect, but that's not the point. We're trying to be like Him. So the idea of being in a relationship with God, to being in a walk with God type of a life, is based upon our desire to be righteous. He's righteous, so we want to be righteous as well. That's part of what it means to walk with God. Let me come at it from a different angle, and I want you to think about it this way. If you think about God, what is the characteristic of God's purity that you wish He didn't have? If you were going to sit down and say, I wish God wasn't pure in this way, what would it be? And what you're going to find as you look through this, even those things that you might initially think you wish that God wasn't righteous in this way, you're going to realize later, no, that's not really what I want. The first one I came up with, man, I wish that God wasn't always fair. Like I wish He would sometimes be favorable to me, be prejudiced towards me. I wish he would give me stuff that I don't deserve. Like I wish that. I wish He wouldn't be fair. But then I think about it, I thought, no, I really don't want that. Because then that means that God might not be fair to somebody else and I could be harmed. If you think about it, if you were to put a list together of the things that you really wish God didn't have, the characteristics that God didn't have in terms of His purity, if you think about it, you really wouldn't want Him to be any different than He is. Sometimes it'd be nice if He wasn't always all-knowing, sometimes, but really you want Him to have that if you think about it. And if you flip it over and you put it on the other side, when God looks at us, there's no element of purity that He wishes we didn't have. He wants us to be righteous. He wants us to be pure. He wants us to be clean. He wants us to be holy. Why does He want that? Because that's who He is. And He wants to be in a relationship with us. And He wants to be able to interact with us in a way that's unhindered by our stupid decisions. And so when you think about this idea, we're understanding what's going on here. What Noah demonstrated was that he was a righteous man. And that is an important aspect of what it means to walk with God. So what does it mean to walk with God? What it means for us to walk with God is that we are pursuing purity. Doesn't mean we're perfect, but it means we're trying to be righteous. What else does it mean to walk with God? The second thing is walking with God is providence. Look with me at verse 13. Then God said to Noah, "The end of humanity has come before me. For the earth is filled with violence because of people, and behold, I'm about to destroy them with the earth." And so what is being demonstrated here in the story is that God is communicating to Noah what He's about to do. And what God is doing is demonstrating to those what it means to walk with God is to be a person that God interacts with and lets them know what He's doing, what's coming, what's ahead. That is a dynamic that is in play in Noah's story, and it can be in play in our lives, but there's more. Look with me at verse 14. And he says, "Make for yourself an ark of gopher wood. You shall make the ark with compartments and cover it inside and out with pitch." Not only does God tell Noah what he's going to do, he tells Noah how he can get around it, how he can not be a part of it. And this communicates something about who God is. God intends for the people that walk with him to let them know how they should live. And not only that, then he goes on in verse 15, and he says this, "And this is how you shall make it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the width 50 cubits, and the height 30 cubits. You shall make a window for the ark," verse 16, "and finish it to a cubit from the top, and put the door of the ark on the side, and you shall make it with lower, second, and third decks." So not only did God tell Noah what he was going to do, not only tell Noah how to avoid what God was going to do, he gave him instructions about exactly how to do it. And why that's significant for us is that what it means to walk in a relationship with God, it means that God communicates to us how we should live. He tells us about what's coming up and what we should do. The Lord has providence. The Lord is working in the lives of those who are walking with them, and He lets them know how they should live. And knowing that, having that information is so valuable for us. Where we get tripped up, oftentimes, where we get tripped up is sometimes we don't always get the answer that we want right away. Say, "God, I need to know, do you want me to go left here or right?" Sometimes we want to know that. And what God sometimes does is He uses a concept that we can identify with from a 19th century saying. And the saying is this: "Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day." Can you finish it? "Teach a man to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime." And what happens oftentimes in the lives of walking with God, we say, "God, I want to fish," and He says, "I have a better idea. I'm going to teach you how to fish." But all in all, just because we don't get to fish, sometimes in our own naivety, we can say, "Oh, God doesn't care. He doesn't want to show me. He doesn't want to help me." That's not it. Sometimes the Lord is teaching us to fish. But either way, the Lord is trying to work with the people who are walking with Him, and He's trying to help them to know how they should live. That's His nature. That's what He does. He's intending to help. So walking with God, that person who is walking with God, one of the things that means is that they are in a situation where God is communicating to them. Now, for a moment, think about this from a different angle. What is the value that you would put on the ability to talk to the sovereign God of the universe and ask Him what He thinks you should do? What is the value of that opportunity? What is the value of being in a situation, being a temporal person, not knowing what's ahead, not knowing what is coming? What is the value of going to God who knows all things, knows what's going to happen, what has happened, and what is about to happen? If He knows it, what is the value of being able to go to Him and ask Him what you should do? If you were going to put a value on that, what is the value that you would put on that? Is that worth $1,000? Is that worth $1 million? Is that worth $1 billion? Is that worth something that you couldn't pay for? The problem is oftentimes we can get into this place where we're just so comfortable, like we're comfortable going to God and asking Him what He thinks we should do, and we're comfortable. We don't realize how valuable it is that the Lord actually cares what's going on in our life and sometimes gives us the direction that we should go. Sometimes specifically tells us, go left here instead of right. Sometimes he teaches us how to fish, which I know that's not always fun. But what is the value of having the unlimited God of the universe willing to help us know what we should do? And if you think about that, and if you really dwell on that, that's an incredibly valuable thing. Walking with God means walking with the supreme God of the universe who cares to let us know how we should live. So what does it mean to walk with God? First, walking with God is purity. It means pursuing righteousness. Not being perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm certainly not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But I'm pursuing that. Walking with God is providence. Being in a relationship with God where you can go to Him and say, God, what should I do here? And the last thing is walking with God is promise. The relationship that a human has the opportunity to have with God is a covenant relationship. It's a relationship covenant is not a word that we think of a lot, but it's a promise that God makes to humanity. It's a promise that He makes to a human. Look with me at verse 17. Now behold, God is speaking to Noah, and He says, I myself am bringing the flood of water upon the earth to destroy all flesh in which there is the breath of life from under heaven. Everything that is on the earth shall perish. Verse 18, which is in many ways the climax of this story. But I will establish my covenant with you. And you shall enter the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. Verse 19 to 22 then talks about further instructions about bringing the animals on board and all. But in verse 18, he says, but I will establish my covenant with you. And this promise is such an integral part of what it means to walk with God. This concept is hard for us to oftentimes understand. We live in a culture surrounded by people who break their promises to us all the time. We live around people, we're in relationship with people who we know and trust, who sometimes still break their promise. So it's hard for us to think that God doesn't at some point break His promise. But that's who He is. He makes promises and He doesn't break them. And the dynamic here is so important. When you and I understand that because of our faith in what Jesus did, that guarantees us a promise. When we understand that, when we hold on, when we grab onto that, it changes everything. Let me give you an example. Oftentimes when I'm talking to single guys or young married guys, whether it's in a premarital counseling or marital counseling or just talking back and forth, we will often we'll have a conversation that leads itself a certain way. And one of the dynamics that this younger generation right now is struggling with is the idea of how do I know that this person I'm marrying, how do I know that we're going to stay together forever? Like there's a lot of marriages in our culture today that break up. And so there's a real fear that this is not going to last. And to some degree, many of the men are looking at it saying, I might be the one who messes it up. And so there's this fear, there's this apprehension about what happens if something happens to my soon-to-be wife or my fiance or my girlfriend. What something happens to her and I don't love her anymore. She's not lovely anymore. What's going to happen? There's all these question marks. And I bring them back to Proverbs chapter 19, verse 22. And I remind them that there is something that a man wants. And what a man wants is unfailing love. And what I begin to help them to understand is, although our culture says this is what's important, and this is what's important, and this is what's important to you really is that you want unfailing love. That's what you want. And to a person that I've ever talked to about this, they have all agreed, yes. When nobody's paying attention, when I'm not talking in public, the thing that I want is unfailing love. That's the dynamic that a man who is about to marry a woman is thinking in his head. What I really want is I want this person to love me no matter what, forever. That's what we're built to want. And I've talked to other ladies who've told me that young women are in the same boat. What they really want, they say they want a house, they say they want 40 kids, they say they want security and blah, blah, blah. But what they really want is they want a man who will love them forever. That dynamic is woven into our DNA. What we all want is unfailing love. Most of us, as we've gotten older, have realized it ain't going to happen on this side because we've been disappointed by people most of our lives. But deep down, if we're honest, the thing that we really want is unfailing love. And that is what walking with God is about. You're walking in promise. That no matter what you do, that no matter what you've done, no matter how ornery you get, God will always love you. And that's something that's hard to wrap our minds around, but that is the promise. That's what it means for us to walk with God, to walk in a relationship with the supreme God of the universe who will always love us. I want to challenge you here this morning. I just want you to think about if you were to go to lunch today and you were talking with somebody about what is the best part about God's promise to love us forever. What is the best part for you? If you were going to say, what is the best part about the promise that God will always love me? What is the best part? Is the best part about that for you, is it the comfort? Is it the comfort of knowing that no matter what happens, God will still love you? No matter if you get hit by a truck or if you fall off a cliff or whatever happens in your life, that God will always love you. Is it the sense of forgiveness that all of the dumb stuff you did in the past, that God still loves you even though you did all that stuff? Is that what it would be for you? Is it the confidence that you can walk out every day and know that no matter what happens, God is going to be right there with you? What is it about His promise that is so powerful for you? And what, if you go through that experience, I think what you'll find is that promise is a much bigger deal to you than you realized. So what does it mean to walk with God? Walking with God is purity. It's not being perfect, but it's striving to be more righteous like God is righteous because you want to hang out with Him. Walking with God is providence. It's having the ability to talk to Him and say, what should I do here? He won't always tell us exactly what we want to know. Sometimes He's got a better way of handling it. But you at least can go to Him and He will respond. And the last thing is walking with God is promise. It's a promise that He will always love you no matter what. And those three dynamics are a way to kind of understand what it is to be walking with God. And this morning, what I want to challenge you with, and I want to challenge you to think about in your own lives, is I want you to think about, am I a person who is walking with God? Am I a person who has had a salvation experience? Have I had a spiritual moment where I became a believer, but I just went back to living my life the way I did? Am I a person who comes to church on Sunday, who tells people that I'm a Christian and tries to do Christian things? Or are you a person who really walks with God? And if you're in the spot in your life where you're walking with God, there are many, many great things about that. And this morning, as we look at the story of Noah, it gives us an opportunity to see what it is exactly that it means to walk with God. As we move into our time of the Lord's Supper, I want to continue on this thoughtful moment. And I want to continue to ask you, and I want you to continually ask yourself, is this walking with God, is that a dynamic that's true of my life? If you didn't receive one of these disposable communion cups on your way in, just raise your hand and we have some people that will get those to you. What we're going to look at here, we're going to be reminded of, which is a big part of what the Lord's Supper is, we're going to be reminded of what Jesus did so that humans like me and you could have the opportunity to walk with God. Jesus was willing to allow his body to be broken, willing to allow his blood to be shed so that we could have that relationship. Just because we can doesn't mean we are. We'll talk about that in a minute. But for now, let's remember what it was that Jesus did so that we could. One of the components that was so critical at that time period was Jesus came and was willing to allow humans to break his body, to beat his body, and ultimately to kill his body. And in so doing, he provided an avenue for those who believe to enter into that intimate relationship with God. They can do that because of what Jesus did. And so as you take that bread wafer, what this is giving us the opportunity to do is to remember that if we have entered into that relationship with God, it is only by the means of what Jesus did. So Jesus broke the bread. When he'd given thanks, he said, "This is my body given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." And in the same way, after supper, he took the cup. And the cup represents Jesus' blood, the blood that he was willing to shed. And that blood becomes a covering for the sins of those who believe. Those who believe have done awful things in their past, but the blood of Jesus covers that, and now they're able to stand in complete security in a relationship with the triune God. They're completely free of guilt because of what Jesus did. And Jesus told his disciples, "Do this as often as you drink it in remembrance of me."